I received a text message from my son-in-law Derek at 6:30 on Thanksgiving morning. The message was cold and direct. I was not welcome at Thanksgiving dinner anymore. No explanation. Just banned. I stared at my phone in my empty kitchen, the turkey I had bought for their dinner sitting on the counter. My late wife Sarah's favorite tablecloth was already laid out. I had been hosting Thanksgiving for 30 years. Then I remembered something important. I held the mortgage on Derek and my daughter Emma's house. I picked up my phone and made a call. The call went straight to my attorney's voicemail. Howard Brennan was probably still asleep. It was Thanksgiving morning after all, but I could not stop myself from leaving a message, my voice shaking with anger and hurt I had been holding back for months. Standing there in my kitchen, I tried calling Emma again, straight to voicemail. I sent her a text. No response. The silence was worse than Derek's message. At least he had the nerve to tell me I was not wanted. Emma just disappeared. I sat down at my kitchen table, the one Sarah and I had bought 43 years ago when we first got married. The turkey sat there, a 20-pound bird I had picked out specifically because Emma loved dark meat and Derek preferred white. I had planned the whole menu around their favorites: green bean casserole with the crispy onions on top, mashed potatoes made from scratch, not from a box, Sarah's secret recipe, cranberry sauce, with orange zest and a touch of bourbon. The tablecloth mocked me. Sarah had embroidered it herself over the course of 2 winters, sitting by the fire while I read the newspaper. Little autumn leaves in gold and red thread, circling the edges. She finished it the year before she died. That was 3 years ago now. 3 years of holidays without her, but at least I had Emma. Until Derek came along. I need to back up. I need to explain how we got here, because nothing happens in a vacuum. Relationships do not implode overnight, even though it feels that way when you are sitting alone on Thanksgiving morning with a text message telling you that you are no longer part of your daughter's life. Sarah died 3 years ago this past August. Pancreatic cancer. They found it too late, and she was gone within 6 months of diagnosis. 42 years of marriage ended. Emma was devastated. She was 28 then, working as a pediatric nurse at County General. For those first months after we lost Sarah, Emma and I were inseparable. She came over for dinner 3 times a week. We watched old movies together, the ones Sarah had loved. We cried together. We learned how to live with the hole Sarah left behind. Then Emma met Derek. It was about 2 years ago. Derek Hartley, pharmaceutical sales representative. He worked for one of the big companies, called on doctors' offices all over the state. He met Emma when he was doing a presentation at the hospital about some new pediatric medication. He was handsome, I will give him that. Tall, well-dressed, confident. The kind of guy who could sell ice to someone living at the North Pole. They dated for 6 months before Derek proposed. Emma was glowing, happier than I had seen her since Sarah died. I had reservations. Something about Derek felt off to me. The way he talked about money, always mentioning how much things cost. The way he steered conversations away from his family. The way he looked at me sometimes, like he was sizing me up, calculating something. But Emma was happy. So I kept my mouth shut. I walked her down the aisle 18 months ago at a small ceremony at the Botanical Gardens. I gave a toast at the reception about how Sarah would have loved to see this day. Derek shook my hand and called me Dad. I tried to believe everything would be fine. The isolation started slowly. I did not notice it at first. Emma's weekly coffee dates with me became every other week, then monthly. Phone calls got shorter. When I asked about getting together, there was always a reason why it would not work. Derek had plans. They had a work thing. They were tired and needed a quiet weekend. About a year ago, they found a house. A beautiful 4-bedroom colonial in a neighborhood about 20 minutes from where I live. White siding, black shutters, a big front porch. The kind of house Sarah and I always dreamed about when Emma was little. The asking price was $450,000. Emma called me, excited but worried. They had been pre-approved for a mortgage of $300,000, but they needed a bigger down payment. Derek's credit score was lower than expected. Emma did not know why. Derek said it was a mistake, that he would get it sorted out. But in the meantime, They were going to lose the house. I offered to help. I had money from Sarah's life insurance policy. We had been good savers our whole lives. I had rental properties, investments, a comfortable retirement, and Emma was my only child. If I could not help her buy her dream home, what good was any of it? I suggested a private mortgage. I would lend them the full $450,000. They would pay me back monthly, just like they would pay a bank. I set the interest rate at 4%, well below the market rate of 6.5% at the time. My lawyer, Howard, drew up the paperwork. Everything was legal and proper, filed with the county clerk's office. Derek signed the documents, but I remember the look on his face. He smiled and thanked me, but his eyes were cold. Later, Emma told me Derek felt uncomfortable borrowing from family. He felt like it put him in a position of owing me. Emma assured me it was fine, that Derek would get over it. He did not get over it. Over the following months, the mortgage payments came in right on time, never late, always the exact amount. But Derek stopped inviting me to their house. The first few times, I thought nothing of it. They were busy with the move, with settling in. But then it became a pattern. Emma would meet me for coffee at a cafe halfway between our houses. She would not invite me over. When I asked, she made excuses. The house was a mess. They were remodeling. Derek was working from home and needed quiet. Always something. 6 months ago, I started noticing other changes. Emma looked tired, stressed. She lost weight. When I asked if everything was okay, she insisted it was. Just busy at work. Just adjusting to married life. Just normal stuff. But I knew my daughter. Something was wrong. I ran into her best friend Paula at the grocery store last October. Paula mentioned she had not seen Emma in weeks. Derek kept telling her that Emma was too busy with work and overtime shifts. But Paula checked with someone at the hospital. Emma was not working overtime. She was working her regular schedule. Derek was lying. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I drove past their house on a Tuesday afternoon. Derek's car was in the driveway. He should have been at work. I did not stop. I did not want to seem like I was checking up on them. But the image stuck in my mind. Derek, home in the middle of a workday, when he was supposed to be out making sales calls. I called Emma that evening, casually asked how Derek's work was going. She said it was fine, busy as always, lots of travel. Her answer did not match what I had seen. The week before Thanksgiving, I called Emma about plans. For 30 years, Thanksgiving had been at my house. It was tradition. Sarah always made a big production of it, and after she died, I kept the tradition alive. Emma knew this. It was never a question. But when I asked, Emma said she needed to check with Derek. Check with Derek? For Thanksgiving? My stomach dropped. Something was very wrong. That was when Derek sent the text this morning. 6:30. I was already up, had been up since 5, prepping the turkey. My phone buzzed. I expected it to be Emma, telling me what time they would arrive. Instead, it was Derek. Bud, we've decided to have a quiet Thanksgiving, just the two of us. Emma and I need to focus on our marriage. Don't come over. We'll call you next week. Derek. No explanation. No apology. Just a cold dismissal. I called Emma immediately. Voicemail. I texted. No response. I called again. Voicemail again. I sent another text. Emma, please call me. I love you. I need to know you're okay. Nothing. I sat at my kitchen table staring at Derek's message. Something in me snapped. Not just anger, though there was plenty of that. It was deeper. It was the realization that Derek had been systematically removing me from Emma's life. The isolation, the excuses, the lies. This was not about having one quiet Thanksgiving. This was about erasing me. And I remembered. I held the mortgage. $428,000 after a year of payments. Derek owed me $428,000. The mortgage contract had specific clauses. Howard had insisted on them, standard protection for private mortgages between family members. One clause allowed me to call the full loan due with 90 days' notice, for any reason. A balloon payment clause. If Derek and Emma could not pay the full amount in 90 days, foreclosure proceedings would begin. At 9 in the morning, I called Howard. His wife answered. I heard family in the background, the sounds of a happy Thanksgiving morning. I apologized for interrupting and asked for Howard. She put him on. Bud? Is everything okay? I explained the situation. The text from Derek. The months of isolation. The pattern of control. My voice broke when I told him about Emma not responding to my calls. Howard was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Are you sure about this? If you go through with a foreclosure notice, it's going to blow up your relationship with Emma. Maybe permanently. Derek is already destroying my relationship with her, I said. I need to show him he cannot push me out of her life. I need to remind him who he is dealing with. Howard sighed. I'll draw up the paperwork. Give me a couple of hours. By noon, the documents were ready. Howard emailed them to me. I read through them carefully. Official notice that I was calling the loan due. Derek and Emma had 90 days to pay the full remaining balance of $428,000. If they could not pay, formal foreclosure proceedings would begin. I signed the documents electronically. My hand shook as I typed my name. Some part of me knew this was a mistake, but I was too hurt, too angry to listen to that part. Howard filed the paperwork with the county clerk's office. Because it was a holiday, the notice would be sent out Friday via express mail. Derek and Emma would receive it by Monday or Tuesday. I spent the rest of Thanksgiving alone. I could not bring myself to cook the turkey. I ate a frozen dinner and watched football, not really seeing any of it. My phone sat next to me on the couch, silent. No call from Emma. No text. Nothing. That night, lying in bed, I stared at the ceiling. Sarah's side of the bed was still empty. 3 years, and I still could not bring myself to sleep in the middle. I wondered what she would think of what I had just done. Would she understand? Would she be disappointed in me? I did not know. But I knew I could not let Derek erase me from Emma's life without a fight. Friday morning, I woke up at 5:30 after barely sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Emma's face. I kept checking my phone. Nothing. I made coffee and sat in the kitchen, watching the sun come up. The turkey was still in the refrigerator, now just a waste of money and hope. I should have thrown it out, but I could not bring myself to do it yet. Howard called at 8. The notice went out this morning, express mail. They'll have it by Monday at the latest, probably Tuesday. My stomach dropped. Okay, Bud, you can still stop this. I can file a withdrawal. It will be like it never happened. I thought about it, really thought about it. Then I thought about Derek's text. The coldness, the control. Not yet. Let's see what happens. All right. I hope you know what you're doing. So did I. The rest of Friday crawled by. I tried to distract myself with yard work, but my mind would not settle. I raked leaves that did not need raking. I cleaned gutters that were already clean. Anything to keep my hands busy. Saturday was worse. I drove past Emma and Derek's house twice, staying a legal distance away, just to see if their cars were there. They were. Lights on. Everything looked normal from the outside. But inside, my daughter was living with a man who was isolating her from everyone who loved her. Sunday, I tried calling Emma again, straight to voicemail. I left a message. Emma, it's Dad. I love you. Please call me. I need to know you're okay. No response. Monday morning, I was up at dawn. The notice would arrive today, or tomorrow. My chest felt tight. I kept telling myself I was doing the right thing. Derek needed to understand he could not control Emma's relationships. He needed to know there were consequences. At 9:45, my phone rang. Emma. My heart stopped. I answered on the first ring. Emma? Her voice was shaking, crying, raw with emotion. Dad, what did you do? What did you do? Emma, sweetheart, I can explain. Explain? She was screaming now. I had never heard her scream like this. You're trying to take our house. You sent us a foreclosure notice. Dad, how could you? The notice had arrived. Express mail. Right on schedule. Emma, listen to me. Derek banned me from Thanksgiving. He's been isolating you from me for months. I was trying to send him a message that he cannot. Send him a message? Send him a message? Her voice broke. Dad, do you have any idea what you've done? Do you know what this means? I know you're upset, but we can't pay $428,000 in 90 days. We'll lose everything. We'll lose our house. Dad, I'm pregnant. Everything stopped. The world tilted. I could not breathe. What? I'm pregnant. She was sobbing now. 7 weeks. We just found out last week. We were going to tell you at Thanksgiving. That's why Derek sent you that text. We wanted one quiet dinner, just us, to process the news before we told everyone. We were going to call you that night and tell you. We were going to invite you over for the weekend to celebrate. No. No. Emma, I didn't know. I thought. You thought what? That Derek was trying to cut you out forever? Over one dinner? Dad, we were going to tell you about your grandchild. And now we're going to lose our house because you got your feelings hurt. Emma, I'll fix this. I'll call Howard right now. I'll withdraw the notice. Derek says we can't trust you anymore. Her voice was cold now. The crying stopped, worse than the screaming. He's calling his own lawyer. He says you used the mortgage to control us. And he was right. You did, Emma. No, that's not. She hung up. I sat there, phone in my hand, my world collapsing. Emma was pregnant. My daughter was having a baby. I was going to be a grandfather, and I had just destroyed everything. I called Howard immediately. Stop everything. Withdraw the notice. Do it right now. Okay. I'll draft the withdrawal today. But Bud, they already got the notice. The damage might already be done. I don't care. Just make it go away. I'll file it tomorrow. They'll get the withdrawal notice by Thursday, but you need to talk to Emma. I tried. I called her back. Voicemail. I sent a text. Emma, I'm withdrawing everything. I made a terrible mistake. Please let me explain. No response. Tuesday morning, I drove to their house. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I could see shadows moving inside. They were home. They just were not answering. I knocked. Emma, please. I'm withdrawing the foreclosure notice. I made a mistake. Please talk to me. A neighbor looked out their window. I felt like a criminal. I left. That afternoon, I got a text from Emma. Just one sentence. Derek's lawyer says we can sue you for emotional distress. I had to go to the ER last night. Stress caused spotting. The baby might not make it. This is your fault. I read that message 10 times. 20. I could not process it. My grandchild might not survive because of what I did. Because I let my pride and anger override my judgment. I called Howard. What do I do? Give her space. The withdrawal is filed. They'll get notification in 2 days. Let things calm down. But I could not give her space. That was my daughter. That was my grandchild. Wednesday morning, someone knocked on my door. I opened it to find a sheriff's deputy standing on my porch. Are you Bud Morrison? Yes. He handed me papers. You've been served. I took the documents, my hands shaking. Temporary restraining order. Derek had filed for a restraining order against me. The petition claimed I was harassing them, threatening their financial security, causing medical harm to Emma. The order specified I had to stay 500 feet away from their home and Emma's workplace. No contact except through attorneys. There was a hearing scheduled for the following Tuesday. I stood in my doorway, reading the papers over and over. I had been trying to fix things. I had withdrawn the foreclosure notice, and Derek had taken the opportunity to push me even further away. I called Howard immediately. He came over within the hour. This is bad, Bud, he said, reading through the restraining order petition. But I have worse news. How can there be worse news? Derek's lawyer found something. When you filed the original mortgage with the county, there was a recording error. The legal description of the property has a typo. Wrong lot number. I stared at him. What does that mean? It means Derek's lawyer is arguing your mortgage claim isn't valid, that you don't have a legal lien on the property. But the mortgage is real. We have a contract. Yes, but the lien, the thing that secures the mortgage against the property, that might not be enforceable because of the recording error. It's fixable, but Derek's lawyer is using it to argue that your entire foreclosure attempt was baseless. Can they do that? They're going to try. And if they succeed, Derek might argue he doesn't owe you the money at all, or at least that he can dispute it. This could drag out in court for years. I felt sick. Not only was I barred from seeing Emma, but my legal position was crumbling. Derek could potentially stop making payments, claim the mortgage was invalid, and tie everything up in litigation, while I was prohibited from even talking to my daughter. Thursday morning, I received an email from Derek's attorney, Bradley Walsh. The letter was formal, cold, and devastating. It stated that Derek and Emma were suspending all mortgage payments pending resolution of the disputed lien. They were also considering a countersuit for predatory lending practices and elder financial abuse of dependent family members. Elder financial abuse. They were claiming I had taken advantage of them, that I had used my money to control and manipulate them. The letter painted me as a controlling father who could not let go of his daughter, who had trapped them in a mortgage arrangement specifically to maintain power over their lives. It twisted everything. Every act of generosity, every attempt to help, reframed as manipulation. I tried to call Emma through her friend Paula. Paula agreed reluctantly to be a go-between. She called Emma, then called me back. Bud, she won't talk to you. She's devastated. She's scared. Derek has shown her all these legal documents. He's convinced her that you were trying to trap them from the beginning. That's not true. Paula, you know me. You know I would never hurt Emma. I know, but she's not thinking clearly right now. She's pregnant, she's stressed, and Derek is in her ear constantly. Just give her time. Time. Everyone kept telling me to give her time. But every day that passed, Derek was filling Emma's head with more lies. Friday morning, Howard called with more bad news. Derek has filed a complaint with Adult Protective Services. What? Why? He's claiming you're showing signs of cognitive decline, irrational financial behavior. He's suggesting you need a competency evaluation. It's a strategy, bud. If they can show you weren't mentally competent when you filed the foreclosure notice, they can argue everything you did was invalid. I could not believe what I was hearing. Derek was not just defending himself. He was going on offense. He was trying to paint me as a senile old man who could not make rational decisions. He wanted to destroy my credibility, take my money, keep my daughter, and make sure I never had any legal standing to fight back. What do? We fight it. We document your competency. Medical records, financial statements, character references. We'll defeat this, but it's going to be ugly. That night, I sat alone in my house, surrounded by photos of Emma growing up, pictures of Sarah, smiling, full of life. I felt like I was drowning. Every move I made, Derek countered with something worse. I was losing everything. My daughter, my grandchild, my money, my reputation, and I had no idea how to stop it. I spent the next week gathering documents, medical records from my doctor, showing I was in good health, cognitively sharp, financial statements, proving I managed my investments competently, character references from friends, from my former colleagues at the bank, where I had worked for 35 years before retiring. Howard assured me we could defeat the Adult Protective Services complaint easily, but the restraining order hearing was Tuesday, and that terrified me more. Tuesday came too soon. I put on my best suit, the one I had worn to Emma's wedding. Howard and I drove to the courthouse together. The courtroom was small, used for family court matters. Derek and Emma were already there with Bradley Walsh. Emma looked pale, exhausted. She would not look at me. Derek had his arm around her protectively, playing the role of concerned husband. The judge, a woman in her 50s, named Judge Catherine Reynolds, reviewed the paperwork and called the hearing to order. Bradley Walsh presented their case first. He painted a picture of me as an unstable, controlling father who had tried to financially blackmail my daughter and son-in-law. He showed Emma's emergency room records from the night after the foreclosure notice arrived. 7 weeks pregnant, stress-induced spotting, threatened miscarriage. Then Emma testified. Howard had warned me this would be hard, but nothing prepared me for it. She sat in the witness chair, hands folded in her lap, and spoke in a quiet voice. I don't recognize my father anymore. He's angry, vindictive. He tried to take our house because we wanted one quiet Thanksgiving dinner. When I think about what he's capable of, I'm afraid. Each word was a knife. My own daughter, afraid of me. Derek testified next. He was smooth, confident. Your Honor, Bud has always been controlling. The mortgage was his way to maintain power over us. He set it up so we would always owe him, always be beholden to him. When we tried to establish healthy boundaries, he lashed out. He tried to make us homeless. Then it was my turn. Howard had coached me to stay calm, factual, unemotional. I explained about the text message banning me from Thanksgiving, about the months of isolation, about my hurt and my mistake. I was trying to send a message, Your Honor. I never intended to actually take their house. When I found out Emma was pregnant, I withdrew the notice immediately. Judge Reynolds asked, "Why didn't you just talk to them, Mr. Morrison? Why use financial leverage?" Derek wouldn't let me talk to them, Your Honor. He'd been cutting me out of Emma's life for months. I thought if I reminded him of the mortgage, he would understand he couldn't just erase me. It sounded weak, even to my own ears. Bradley Walsh objected to my characterization of Derek's behavior, calling it speculation. Judge Reynolds sustained the objection. The judge took 15 minutes to make her decision. The temporary restraining order would remain in effect for 30 days, then be reviewed again. Mr. Morrison, I understand you're hurt, but you used financial power against your pregnant daughter. That's not acceptable. You need to find another way to communicate. This court will revisit the matter in 30 days. I left the courthouse feeling like I had been gutted. 30 more days without seeing Emma. 30 more days of Derek poisoning her against me. In the parking lot, I saw Derek and Emma walking to their car. Emma was crying. Derek was on his phone, looking annoyed. I stayed back, careful not to violate the restraining order, but I could hear Derek's voice. I told you, I'll have it by Friday. Just give me until Friday. He sounded desperate, worried, not like the confident man who had just testified in court. Something was wrong. I sat in my car and called Tom Rafferty. Tom was a retired private investigator, an old friend from my banking days. We had worked together on fraud cases. He owed me a favor. Tom, I need you to look into my son-in-law. I think he's hiding something. What kind of something? I don't know yet, but something about him doesn't add up. Tom worked fast. By Thursday, he had pulled Derek's credit report through legal channels. What he found made my blood run cold. Derek had 3 credit cards, all maxed out. Total debt, $67,000, plus a personal loan of $15,000. All of it had been opened in the last 18 months, after he married Emma. The payment history showed erratic payments, multiple late fees. Derek was drowning in debt. Friday, Tom called with more information. Bud, you need to sit down for this. Saturday. Derek was laid off from his pharmaceutical sales job 6 months ago. What? He's been lying to Emma about going to work. He has some freelance consulting work, but his income is a fraction of what he was making before. And there's more. Derek's been frequenting a casino 2 towns over. I have surveillance footage showing him there multiple times a week. Tom sent me the full report. Credit cards, cash advances, ATM withdrawals near the casino. Derek was not just in debt, he was a gambling addict. Saturday, Tom and I met at a diner to review everything. The mortgage payments you've been receiving, Tom said. I traced them. They're coming from credit card cash advances. Derek is using debt to pay you back, running up his cards to keep up appearances. I felt sick. Does Emma know? I doubt it. Derek's good at hiding things, but they're in serious financial trouble. The credit cards are maxed. He's got collectors calling. It's only a matter of time before everything collapses. That was why Derek wanted me out of the picture. He knew I would notice the signs. As a retired bank manager, I would recognize financial distress. The late payments, the stress, the lies about work. The foreclosure notice had actually helped Derek in a twisted way. It gave him a villain to point to. It let him paint me as the problem, deflecting attention from his own financial disaster. Derek had been counting on me to react exactly the way I did, and I had played right into his hands. Sunday morning, Tom called me again. There's more. You need to hear this. More? How can there be more? Derek took out a home equity line of credit 3 months ago. $75,000. I sat down hard. A HELOC? How is that possible? The mortgage recording error? He had it corrected. Quietly. He hired a title company to fix the lot number discrepancy. Your mortgage is now properly recorded. You do have legal standing. But Derek used that corrected title to borrow against the house. Did Emma know about this? That's the thing, bud. I compared the signature on the HELOC documents to other documents Emma has signed. It's not her handwriting. What are you saying? I'm saying Derek forged Emma's signature. He took out $75,000 without her knowledge or consent. I could not breathe. Derek had committed fraud. He had forged my daughter's signature and stolen equity from her house. Where's the money? Gone. Based on the casino records I accessed, he's lost most of it gambling. The rest probably went to paying off collectors, keeping up appearances. Monday morning, I met with Howard. I showed him everything Tom had found. The credit card debt, the job loss, the gambling, the forged HELOC. Howard's face went pale as he read through the reports. This is fraud. This is identity theft. This is a crime. I need to tell Emma. You're under a restraining order. If you contact her, you'll be arrested. Then you contact her lawyer. Bud. Bradley Walsh is Derek's lawyer. If I tell him, he'll tell Derek first. Derek will have time to cover his tracks, come up with a story. Then what do? We go to the police. File a report. Let them handle it. Tuesday afternoon, Howard and I went to the police station. We met with Detective Morris, a tired-looking man in his 40s who handled financial crimes. I laid out everything. Showed him the documents, the credit reports, the handwriting analysis, the casino records. Detective Morris took notes, asked questions. This is serious. If he forged her signature, that's identity theft and fraud. But I need to verify the signature discrepancy. I'll need to interview Mrs. Hartley, get exemplar signatures, send everything to our forensic document examiner. How long will that take? Could be weeks. Detective, my daughter is pregnant. She's living with a criminal. She needs to know now. I understand your urgency, Mr. Morrison, but I need to build a case. If I approach her too soon, without solid evidence, Derek will lawyer up and destroy evidence. Let me do this right. I wanted to scream, but I knew he was right. Wednesday, I could not take it anymore. I drove past Emma and Derek's house, staying outside the 500-foot boundary. Emma's car was gone all day. Derek's was there. Where was Emma? Thursday, Emma's friend Paula called me. Bud, I'm worried about Emma. What's wrong? I finally got her to talk to me. She's not doing well. She's barely eating. She's crying all the time. Derek is acting strange, secretive, short-tempered. She told me they're behind on their water and electric bills. But Derek keeps saying everything is fine. Did she mention any new loans? No. What loans? I could not tell Paula. I could not tell anyone except the police and Howard. If word got back to Derek, he would disappear with whatever money was left. Friday afternoon, Detective Morris called. We've confirmed it. The signature on the HELOC documents doesn't match Emma's. It's definitely a forgery. We're bringing Derek in for questioning on Monday. What about Emma? What about the house? The HELOC bank will likely freeze the account once they learn of the fraud. The $75,000 that Derek spent, if Emma wasn't a party to the fraud, she might not be liable for it. But that will be a civil matter for the courts to sort out. So Derek stole $75,000 and Emma might still be on the hook for it? It's complicated. The house is collateral. If they can't pay back the HELOC, the bank could foreclose. I did the math in my head. Emma and Derek owed me $428,000, plus the fraudulent HELOC of $75,000. That was $503,000 in total debt. The house was worth about $475,000. They were underwater. Even if they sold, they could not pay everyone back. My daughter was going to lose everything. She was pregnant. She hated me. And her husband was a criminal. Monday morning came faster than I wanted. I knew the police were going to Derek's house. I stayed home, pacing my kitchen, waiting for the phone to ring. At 7:15, Detective Morris called. We're at the house now. Derek's being brought in for questioning. And Emma? She's here. She didn't know about the HELOC. She's in shock. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. Emma. My hands shook as I answered. Dad? Emma. Sweetheart. The police are here. They're taking Derek to the police station. They said something about fraud and forgery. What's happening? Emma. There are things about Derek you don't know. He took out a home equity loan without telling you. He forged your signature. That's not possible. Derek wouldn't. Emma. He lost his job 6 months ago. He's been lying about going to work. He's been gambling. He has $67,000 in credit card debt. He used the equity in your house to pay his gambling debts. Silence on the other end. Then, softly, no, I hired an investigator. I have proof. The police have proof. Emma, Derek has been lying to you about everything. I could hear her breathing, rapid, panicked. I don't believe you. Derek said you would try something like this. He said you would make up lies to turn me against him. Emma, the police wouldn't be there if this was just lies. Ask them. Ask Detective Morris. He has the documents. I heard voices in the background. Emma talking to someone. Then she came back on the line. The detective wants to talk to me. I have to go. Emma, I love you. I'm sorry for everything I did wrong. But Derek is not who you think he is. She hung up. I sat by my phone for the next 2 hours, desperate for news. Finally, Howard called. The police arrested Derek. He ran. What? When they asked him to come to the station, he said he needed to get his wallet. He went inside, went out the back door, jumped the fence, and ran. They caught him 3 blocks away. He's being charged with obstruction of justice on top of the fraud charges. Where's Emma? I don't know. Her friend Paula picked her up from the house. An hour later, Paula called me. Bud, Emma wants to see you. The restraining order. She's dropping it. She called her lawyer. She knows everything now. Where is she? At her house. She's waiting for you. I broke every speed limit getting there. I pulled into their driveway, and Emma met me at the door. She looked destroyed, pale, exhausted, her eyes red from crying. We stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. Then she collapsed into my arms. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You were right about everything. I held her, feeling her shake with sobs. It's not your fault. Derek lied to both of us. We went inside. The house was a mess. Emma had been going through Derek's things. His laptop was open on the kitchen table, emails and bank statements displayed. He lost his job 6 months ago, Emma said, her voice hollow. I had no idea. He left the house every morning like he was going to work. But he was just driving around, going to the casino. Everything was a lie. She showed me credit card statements she had found, cash advances, ATM withdrawals at the casino, late payment notices. I found this too. She held up a pawn shop receipt, my grandmother's ring, the one Mom gave me before she died. He pawned it. I felt rage building in my chest. Derek had taken Sarah's ring, the one Sarah had given Emma as a wedding gift, and sold it to feed his gambling addiction. I found more receipts, Emma continued. Wedding gifts, my jewelry, things from our house. All pawned, all gone. She started crying again. I held her and let her cry. Dad, I don't know what to do. The police said Derek forged my name on a loan. $75,000. I didn't know anything about it. We owe you $428,000. We owe the HELOC bank $75,000. I can't pay any of it. I'm going to lose the house. I'm pregnant and I'm going to be homeless. No, you're not. We'll figure this out. How? I can't afford the mortgage on my own. Even if I could, the house is worth less than what we owe. I'm trapped. As she was talking, she suddenly gasped and grabbed her stomach. Emma? Something's wrong. Her face went white. Dad, I'm cramping. Oh God, there's blood. I did not think. I just moved. I got her to my car, drove to the hospital. Paula followed us in her own car. Emma was crying, one hand on her stomach, the other gripping mine. Please, not the baby. Please, not the baby. At the emergency room, they took her back immediately. I was not allowed in because I was not her husband. I sat in the waiting room with Paula, both of us silent, terrified. 2 hours later, a doctor came out. Are you Emma's father? Yes. She's stable. The baby is stable. But she's having stress-induced contractions. She needs complete bed rest. Any more stress could cause her to miscarry. Can I see her? She's asking for you. Emma was in a hospital bed, hooked up to monitors, an IV in her arm. She looked so small, so vulnerable. Hey, baby girl, I said softly. Dad, they said the baby's okay. For now. That's good. That's really good. But I need to rest. Total bed rest. The doctor said I can't go back to that house. Too much stress. You're coming home with me. Dad, no arguments. You're coming home. We'll figure out the house, the money, all of it later. Right now, you need to rest and take care of my grandchild. Her phone buzzed. Derek's number. She stared at it, then declined the call. He's been calling from the police station. He wants me to bail him out. What are you going to do? Nothing. I'm not helping him. He did this to us. He lied to me. He stole from me. He put our baby at risk. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Dad, how did I not see it? He was good at hiding it. And you loved him. Love makes us blind sometimes. Her phone buzzed again. Derek. She turned it off. I'm done with him. 2 weeks later, Emma was settled into her old bedroom at my house. She was on strict bed rest, which meant she spent most of her days reading, watching television, and letting me take care of her. I made her 3 meals a day, brought her vitamins and water, and made sure she rested. The baby was stable. Emma was 9 weeks along now, just past the most dangerous period. But the doctor wanted her to stay on bed rest for another month, just to be safe. We talked a lot during those 2 weeks. About everything. About Sarah, about Derek, about all the mistakes I had made, about the foreclosure notice, about my pride, about how badly I had handled everything. I should have just knocked on your door that morning, I said one evening, sitting in the chair next to her bed. Instead of trying to punish Derek with the mortgage, I should have just shown up and asked to talk. Derek wouldn't have let you in, Emma said. He was so focused on keeping you away. I see that now. Every time I mentioned you, he found a reason why we shouldn't see you. He was scared you'd figure out what he was hiding. I should have figured it out sooner. You tried to tell me. I didn't listen. I was so in love with him, or with who I thought he was. I convinced myself you were just being an overprotective dad. She reached for my hand. We both made mistakes. But you were trying to protect me. Derek was trying to use me. The legal situation was moving forward. Derek had been arraigned on fraud and forgery charges. His lawyer negotiated a plea deal. 3 years probation, restitution ordered, community service. No jail time because it was a first offense, and he agreed to plead guilty. The restitution order meant Derek was supposed to pay back the $75,000, but Derek had no money, no job, no assets. The order was basically meaningless. Emma filed for divorce. Derek did not contest it. He moved in with his brother in another state and left town. Emma told me she felt nothing when he left. No sadness, no anger, just relief that he was gone. The house was more complicated. Emma wanted to keep it, but she could not afford the mortgage payments on her nurse's salary, especially with a baby coming. Howard and I worked out a solution. We restructured the mortgage with much lower monthly payments and a longer term, 40 years instead of 30. Emma would also rent out 2 of the bedrooms to help cover costs. I'm not trying to make money off you, I told her. I just want to get the principal back eventually, and I want you to have a home for you and the baby. Dad, you've given me so much already. I don't know how I'll ever pay you back. You don't have to pay me back. You're my daughter. Taking care of you is what I'm supposed to do. The HELOC situation resolved itself in an unexpected way. Because Emma's signature had been forged, and because Derek had committed fraud, the bank absorbed the loss. They could have tried to pursue Derek for the money, but he was judgment-proof. No assets, no income. They wrote it off. 1 month after the hospital scare, The restraining order came up for review. Emma appeared in court and requested it be dismissed. Judge Reynolds looked surprised. Mrs. Hartley, are you sure? Yes, Your Honor. My father didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to protect me. I was wrong to be part of filing this order. I'd like it dismissed immediately. The judge granted the request without hesitation. Adult Protective Services also closed their case. They had interviewed me, reviewed all my medical and financial records, and concluded I was perfectly competent. There was no basis for Derek's complaint. My reputation in the community was restored. People who had heard Derek's version of events now knew the truth. My neighbors, my friends from church, my former colleagues, they all reached out to tell me they were glad Emma was okay and that I had done the right thing. 3 months after Thanksgiving, Emma was back on her feet. She was 14 weeks pregnant, past the first trimester, glowing with health. Her morning sickness had faded. Her energy was returning. She moved back into her house, which now had 2 roommates. Both were nurses from her hospital, reliable young women who paid their rent on time and gave Emma company. The rent from them covered the mortgage payment to me, plus utilities. Emma went back to work part-time on modified duty. Her supervisor was understanding, let her work desk shifts instead of floor nursing, until after the baby came. The divorce was finalized in February. Derek signed all the papers, gave up any claim to the house or any assets. He just wanted it over with. So did Emma. I feel like I can breathe again, she told me one evening over dinner at my house. We had started having dinner together 3 times a week, rebuilding our relationship. For the first time in a year, I'm not worried about what Derek is thinking or what mood he'll be in. I'm just me. How does it feel? Scary, but good. I'm learning who I am without him. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her. She was stronger than I had given her credit for. She had been through hell, had lost her husband, nearly lost her home, and her baby, but she was still here, still fighting, still hopeful. Your mother would be so proud of you, I said. Emma's eyes filled with tears. You think so? I know so. 6 months after that terrible Thanksgiving, in late May, Emma went into labor 2 weeks early. She called me at 2 in the morning. Dad, it's time. I was at her house in 10 minutes. I drove her to the hospital, timing contractions, keeping her calm. She had asked me to be her birth coach, and I had said yes without hesitation. Labor was long, 12 hours. Emma was exhausted, in pain, but she never complained. I held her hand, reminded her to breathe, told her she was doing great, just like Sarah had done when Emma was born 31 years ago. At 3:27 in the afternoon, Emma's daughter was born. 7 pounds, 4 ounces, 10 fingers, 10 toes. Perfect. The nurse placed the baby in Emma's arms. Emma looked down at her daughter, tears streaming down her face. Hi, little one, she whispered. I'm your mama. Then she looked at me. Dad, meet your granddaughter, Sarah Elizabeth Morrison. I could not speak. Sarah. She had named the baby after my wife, after her mother. The nurse asked if I wanted to hold her. I nodded, unable to find words. She placed baby Sarah in my arms. She was so small, so light. She had Emma's nose and a full head of dark hair. Her eyes were closed, her tiny fist curled against her cheek. I sat in the chair next to Emma's bed, holding my granddaughter, and cried. Not sad tears, happy tears. Relief, joy, gratitude. Thank you, I said to Emma, for naming her Sarah. Mom saved my life, even though she's not here, Emma said. She taught me what real love looks like. And you showed me what it means to fight for the people you love, even when it's hard, even when you make mistakes. I want Sarah to have that same kind of love. 3 days later, I drove Emma and baby Sarah home from the hospital. Not to my house, but to Emma's house. The house that had almost destroyed our relationship. The house that now represented Emma's independence and fresh start. Her roommates had decorated. Pink balloons, a welcome home banner, flowers everywhere. They cooed over the baby, offered to help with anything Emma needed. I helped Emma settle in, set up the bassinet next to her bed, made sure she had everything she needed for night feedings, stocked her refrigerator with easy meals. Then I sat in the nursery rocker, holding Sarah while Emma unpacked. The nursery was painted a soft yellow. White furniture, a mobile with stars and moons hanging over the crib, pictures of family on the walls. Sarah, Emma, as a baby, me and Sarah, on our wedding day. Emma came in and leaned against the doorframe, watching me with her daughter. "Can I take a picture?" "Of course." She took out her phone and snapped a photo. Me in the rocker, baby Sarah asleep in my arms, sunlight streaming through the window. Later that night, I saw she had posted it online. The caption read, "3 generations. My father, my hero, and my daughter, Sarah. We've been through hell and back, but love always wins." Sitting there in that nursery, I thought about the journey. Last Thanksgiving, I had been angry, hurt, alone. I had made terrible decisions. Decisions that could have cost me everything. But those decisions, somehow, had led to the truth being revealed. Led to Emma being freed from Derek's lies. Led to this moment. I thought about Sarah, my late wife. I wish she could see this. Wish she could hold her granddaughter, see Emma strong and independent, know that everything had worked out. But somehow, I felt like she knew, like she was watching over us, proud of the family we had fought so hard to keep together. The path had been painful, full of mistakes and misunderstandings, and moments where I thought I had lost Emma forever. But we had made it through. Baby Sarah stirred in my arms, made a small sound, settled back to sleep. "Welcome to the family, little one," I whispered. "You have no idea how much you're already loved." I learned something through all of this. Love is not always easy. It is not always pretty. Sometimes it means standing up to people who are hurting the ones you care about. Sometimes it means making hard choices that might blow up in your face. Sometimes it means admitting you were wrong and finding your way back. Family is not about being perfect. It is about showing up. It is about fighting for each other, even when the fight gets ugly. It is about being willing to make mistakes, big ones, and finding your way back to each other. There were moments when I thought I had lost Emma forever, when I thought my pride and my anger had destroyed the most important relationship in my life. But Emma gave me a second chance. She forgave me. She let me back in. And now, holding my granddaughter, I understood what Sarah had tried to tell me in those last days before she died. She had said, "Bud, no matter what happens, family is everything. Fight for Emma, even if she pushes you away, even if it seems hopeless. Fight for her." I had fought. Not always in the right way, not always with the right methods, but I had never given up. And here we were, 3 generations, scarred but stronger, broken but healing, together. Some battles are worth fighting, even when the odds are against you, even when you do not know if you will win, even when the cost is high, because love is worth it. Family is worth it. And sometimes, if you are very lucky, you get to hold your granddaughter and know that despite everything, you did something right. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to fight for a relationship with someone you love? Maybe a child, a parent, a friend? Have you ever had to stand up to someone who was hurting your family, even when it meant risking everything? How did you handle it? What would you have done differently? Share your story in the comments below. I would love to hear how others have navigated these difficult family situations. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. It helps other people find these stories and know they are not alone in their struggles. And if you have not already, please subscribe to this channel. There are more stories coming, stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. Share this story with someone who might need to hear it, someone who is fighting for their family, someone who feels alone in their struggle. Let them know there is hope, even in the darkest moments. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. I hope you found something here that touched your heart, that gave you hope, or that just reminded you that we are all doing the best we can in this complicated thing called family. Take care of each other out there. Hold your loved ones close. Fight for what matters. And remember, sometimes the longest road leads us exactly where we need to be. Until next time.